All right. Well, welcome to episode 3 of Recovery Recap. I'm here with my patient Cecile, and she is going to tell us about her journey through injuries and how she found me and what we did to strategize to overcome those injuries. So why don't you start off there?
Yes. About 12 years ago, I had to go to the doctor about tingling coming down my arms and the upper part of my back. He told me that I had 2 discs in back of my neck that needed to be repaired. I opt, instead of surgery, I opt for PT, personal physical therapy. Unfortunately, I still got the tingling down my arms. I just couldn't, I like to work out. I couldn't lift any heavy weights. I had to be very careful. And this has been a while. So up to maybe a couple months ago, I still felt the tingling once in a while. Not all the time, because I'm retired, so I'm no longer on a computer like this. I did that for about over 30 years, and I believe that's what caused it. So anyway, one day I was at a fair in Denver, and I met Dr. Eric, and I'm always intrigued by anything fitness. So I saw what he was doing. I found out who he was. He kind of helped my neck a little bit while I was there, and then convinced me to have a one session with him. So I went to the session, and I was only willing to do a session because he's an hour away from me. But of course, I had to come back. And I have to tell you, I am very glad I came back. My neck, I no longer have the tingling. I was going to the gym at the time. Well, I'm still going to the gym. But what was happening at the gym, I couldn't really do shoulders. If I did shoulders, I will be in pain for 2 days. Not anymore. And this was only after maybe a couple of visits. I don't know what he did. I also got some acupuncture, but I do not have that anymore. I could do shoulders without a problem. Now, I do feel the soreness once I'm finished, maybe a day after, whatnot, but I could come right back. The recovery is much faster. I'm not going through 2 days of pain. And that alone was worth every down I spent, right? So anyway, that's really, my story. I'm happy I could work out. He showed me a lot of stuff that I could do now. My chest and my back, for some reason, when I try to do push-ups, I always have a hard time. But he showed me how to relax my chest with dynamic stretching as well as my lats. So when I do that now, before I work out, it is so much better. He has such a wealth of knowledge. I am a geek when it comes to that. So I love speaking to him. I get so much information. Stuff that he has said to me I haven't even seen on the YouTube yet, because I'm a YouTube watcher with all that stuff. So like what you were telling me about how we really don't push, the muscles just pull.
Yep.
That I've never heard that before, and he could explain that to you, but that's wonderful.
Yeah.
I still try to think about that every time I work out.
What's funny is when you hear stuff like that, it sounds almost counterintuitive,
Yep.
right? That muscles only pull because you see your body parts push. But if you think about it, it's impossible for a muscle to push, right? So it has to happen some way, and this is where you get into the deep biomechanics of things.
Right.
And I always tell people this, is that biomechanics is so simple. Anatomy is what becomes very complicated because it's a lot of, you have to memorize this, you have to memorize that, what attaches here, but biomechanics, some of the principles are very simple. All muscles pull. You're never going to get a muscle that pushes now.
Yeah, the example you gave me was great.
Yeah.
With the two things coming together, that was great.
Well, the concentric circles, right, that are going in...
this one.
Yeah, right?
The push.
Exactly, because you do see your hand is pushing, right? But it's actually your elbow extending, your shoulder going into flexion, right? And then you're seeing the wrist is going to more extension, right? So all 3 of those circles, there's a circle going this way, pulling, a circle going this way, pulling, and a circle going this way, right? And when they all go at the same time, it creates a push force. But it's 3 pulls.
That's right.
That's like a squat. It's the same thing.
Yeah, I was confusing that with the other one that you showed me.
Yes, yeah.
The PNF,
Yes.
I was confused. Okay.
Well, PNF, you know about PNF. Why don't you explain to what PNF is?
Well, I always thought PNF was stretching. So what it is, you actually take someone's muscle and you inch by inch, you push it towards the desire, I guess, what would you call it?
Range of motion.
Range of motion. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So my hip, I did not know I was out of whack. Well, I'm no longer out of whack. Thank you. So I'm telling him, wow, are you stretching? He goes, oh, no, 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 I'm not stretching. So he explained to me that the muscle is like what, 50%, 50%? Would you say that? Or 100%?
Well, ideally, the joint is where the muscle is holding it right in the middle,
So,
between the
okay.
two extremes.
So right here. So let's say I was here, and then this one was too long. Well, he manipulated it through PNF,
Yep.
excuse me,
Proprioceptive neurofacilitation.
facilitation,
Yep.
right? So he manipulated it, and I was like, "Wow, are you kidding me? It was that easy." So he's going to show me how to do all that myself because he's far, so I can't keep on coming.
Well, the thing is that a PNF is something I think a lot of personal trainers like yourself, right, can utilize because like it's minimally in contact with your client, but I think when people hear stretch, they think the goal is longer muscle.
That's what I thought. I thought I was just stretching the muscle more.
Yep.
But
and it seems like magic, right?
Yes.
It seems like it's like free.
It was magic.
It seems that way, but it's actually working with the biochemistry of the muscle tissue to begin with.
It's magic.
It seems like magic, right?
It's magic.
Absolutely.
It was great. It was great.
But how did we find out about the hip internal rotation problem?
Oh, okay. So Dr. Eric was teaching me how to do the Turkish get-up. Wow. It's more for the core. You start on the floor and you have a series of, I want to say, exercises or movements to get you up to the standing position. Well, my hip just kept on going this way and I couldn't control it. I couldn't control it. And immediately, from the beginning, he knew everything that was wrong with me, from my shoulders to my hip to everything. So that's actually, I guess, the best way you could tell when someone is dysfunctional.
It is.
You see?
It's a great diagnostic tool.
Right.
Right? I always tell, like, once somebody has a Turkish get-up down, right, they know the steps and they know the criteria. Right? I think the Turkish get-up seems like, oh, you just have to get the steps. But no, you need to follow a criteria. There needs to be restrictions. And when you think about it, your spine is not supposed to be bending. You're not supposed to be going into extreme ranges of your hips. I mean, if that was the case, that would be really bad, right? So I think once you have that, you could do a Turkish get-up in the morning and go, ooh, I probably have a little bit of a tightness in the internal rotation of my hip. And I can do something about that now. Instead of having to leave it there for the rest of the day.
Right.
And then every step you take, you have that problem that inches its way into everything you do.
But I can't do PNF by myself, to myself.
Sure you could.
I can.
Of course you can.
All right, I'm going to learn
What do you think the exercise is with loading your lats?
Are you kidding me?
Because the thing is, what you're doing is you're safely loading the joint.
Okay.
And safely loading the muscle. Is that one of the reasons why muscles lock up is because your nervous system has seen a motor pattern as a threat, right? And when it sees the motor pattern as a threat, it's going to do something as a threat response. And usually what that is it braces it, right? So what PNF is doing is it's taking it to what would be about to elicit that threat response. And what you're doing is you're going in and bracing it, and your nervous system is getting really, really high quality information from that tension because it wants what your nervous system really wants. And this is probably a big blanket statement, but it's okay. I would put money on it that it's true. Your nervous system would probably lose most of its resting tone, its tension, if it just had an accurate view of all the muscles' tensions. But what happens is that some muscles suddenly get tensed up when you suddenly onload muscles, and then it goes, right? And that's why moving slower, moving smoother. That's like my mantra. Like it's part of the military's mantra, but it's slow is smooth and smooth is fast, right?
I just saw that in a movie the other day.
Did you really?
Yes, I did.
It's so true. It's the way you learn a piano song, right? No one just takes a piece of music, I don't know how good you are, maybe you do, and play it at full speed. If you do that, you're going to make a bunch of errors. So what happens when you slow it down, you realize that like this muscle over here that you had that was stuck, right? And if you just slowly brought it into this range of motion, what would happen is instead of moving all at one joint and overloading that one joint because it's the easiest one to load, you start to load that joint, but then you load another joint and another joint, and now you're distributing the load. And now that muscle, instead of doing like something that's causing a threat response, like overloading one joint, now because it has time to do it correctly, you're going to see that your nervous system goes, oh, hey, that moves better. The second thing you get is blood flow there. Is that when you move something correctly, you get better blood flow to that joint, and now it can start to heal, and it starts to get better at you using it.
Okay, so I know how to do it for my chest. I know how to do it for my lats. When you were doing my hip, I was pushing against your hand.
Yep.
How do I do it for my hip by myself?
So it's if you think about it, it's kind of a bit of a game. And I love making biomechanics into games because games have an objective, right? And sometimes the means don't matter. As long as you follow the rules, the means don't matter, right? I had this conversation with a patient this morning. Is he was trying to get one of his vertebrae in his back, right? One of the joints to move better because it was locked up, right? And I was explaining to him that when he bends to the left, the muscles on his right side of his spine should get tensed because they are holding him up. And then when he bends to the right, if he bends at that joint and then takes that muscle off tension, it should relax. But
it didn't.
Well, not at first. And he goes, well, I'm trying to do it. He's like, it's getting better, but it's not great. I said, all right, put your finger there and do whatever you need to do. I don't care what you do. Whatever gets that tension to drop down is what you needed to do, because I want to see you relax that muscle, because blood flow won't go into a tight muscle, right? It's really poor blood flow.
That's something I have to write down.
You can write that down 1,000,000 times. Like when a kid has to write it 100 times on a chalkboard, blood flow does not want to go into a tight muscle.
Okay.
Right?
And we need the blood flow.
We need the blood flow. Okay. So the thing is that you create these games, right? So what's the objective? You put when you're doing the PNF on the internal rotators, right? You have to think is that the internal rotators are going to be slacked in internal rotation, right? That's what no one gets, right? Like that's something that people like when they do pigeon pose and they're like, I'm stretching my external rotators. I'm like, you're in external rotation. Like my bicep does elbow flexion. Do I stretch it this way?
Oh, wow. Okay.
Right? So you're actually, what you want to think with that is that you take it to the opposite side of what you need, right? If your internal rotators are too tight, that means that you're stuck in internal rotation and you need external rotation. If your external rotators are too tight, they're pulling you into external rotation and you need to pull them into internal rotation. Right? That was what we were doing. Right?
Woo!
I know. And then what happens is that you want to see that there's a balance between the two then, right? You should roughly have equal amounts of internal versus external rotation of your hips. Because what should happen is both of those muscles should create a sling back to the center. And that's what you'd like, you know? At the end of all exercises, your hip is back into the center. Squat, you take it out, right? There's a little bit of abduction, external rotation, right? Tons of flexion, and then you're brought back into roughly a standing position. Same thing with the deadlift.
So finish exercising, recovery. We talked about recovery.
Recovery, oh.
I thought, that if you do something too much, you will just hurt it or it will get stuck into that imbalance. But Dr. Eric tells me as long as you recover, you should be fine.
As long as you recover.
But how do you know you have recovered?
Well, there's a few signs that you're not recovering well, right? One sign that you're not recovering well is if tension is maintaining, like let's say that you got a muscle sore, it's okay that that muscle's a little tight for the day. If it's going past 48 hours and that muscle is getting tighter or is just as tight, that's a sign that you've overloaded it, right? If it's tight the next day, you know, you move it around a little bit, don't overload it again, right? But like you move it around and the tension drops out the next day, you've recovered well. The second thing is that you know that a muscle is not recovering well if the joints associated with it are getting inflamed.
Okay, so we will see that or feel that.
You'll
We might get
probably
pain.
feel
Feel
that,
it.
yeah.
Okay.
Because the thing is that muscles should be something that provides support
Mm-hmm.
for a joint,
Right.
right? You have a joint capsule. I showed you what the joint capsule
Mm-hmm.
looks like, right? Is that you shouldn't be relying on the ligaments and the joint capsule to hold the joint together.
Right.
That's the last line of defense,
Right.
right? You want a little bit of muscle tone to hold the joint in a relatively neutral position. If that's getting strained and strained and strained, you probably fatigued the muscle previously and then went to use it again, and now it tapped out too early, and now you're putting strain on the joints.
So always recover. That's the key.
Always recover. It's all about recovery.
Okay.
Workout's about the recovery,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. Like rest is part of the equation.
Rest is the thing is that if you're training for a marathon, right? The worst thing you could do is run a marathon before the marathon. You don't want
Rest
to.
the day before.
You want to rest, right? You want to make sure that your body's ready for it to take it on, right? And the thing is that this is one of the big things that I want people to start to incorporate into their workouts. And we've talked about this, is that the reason why you should work out should be to increase efficiency, right? And we talked about this with losing weight even.
Yes.
Is that I gave you the analogy of if like let's say there was a gas shortage, right? We talked about this, right? And you had to get all of your gas for the month in one day. You're going to try to estimate how much you need, right? And then if you burned it all up real quick, then you're going to get more the next, and you're going to store more. That's how your body thinks about like adipose tissue, right? And as a trainer, I think that's good to tell your clients to shift the thought over, because there's no reason to injure yourself. There's no reason to work out until you're in pain.
Right.
You want to work out, and what was a difficult load yesterday, the next time you do it,
it should be easier.
It's a little bit easier. It's more efficient.
And another thing, coming back to that subject, I came in last Friday and I said to Dr. Eric, I said, I messed up eating so bad. It's like I was doing so good and I really had a really bad 2 months, whatever. He totally changed my thinking. What did you say to me?
Well, first off, I think I told you about the quote from the Bible, right?
Right.
Is that you're not defiled by what you put in your mouth, but what comes out of your mouth. And I live by that.
No.
What was that?
Yes, no, but you're right.
Yeah.
You're right.
But the thing is that the amount of food that you eat, right, I think we were even talking about this, is you were saying that like potato chips and all these different things are not fuel.
Right.
It's like they are fuel.
Yeah.
Everything, your body's trying to optimize fuel. And now you could put better fuel, worse fuel in your body, but it is all fuel, right? So your body is trying to become as efficient as it possibly can in managing that fuel.
Right.
So, and the thing is, it's also trying to keep you alive.
Yeah.
That's the big thing that people don't realize, is that your body doesn't care about your PR. Your body doesn't care about your marathon time. Your body cares about you staying alive. Your nervous system wants that. So it's going to respond in a way that's going to be more likely to let you survive. If you are inefficiently walking, you're going to walk a lot. And if you're inefficiently walking, you're going to see that your body may take on extra weight, and it may have suboptimal adaptive mechanisms, because you don't walk well, and it wants to make sure, well, you don't walk well, but at least allow you to keep walking, is that you start walking better. It doesn't need to make those modifications anymore, and they start to fall away.
So you have to learn to do things correctly.
Right, and that's where my practice comes in. Is that's what I really want. Like your goals, I think you have a really good goal, because I think you want to be a good example for your clients, right? But also, you have your grandkids and all these things. You want to
live. I want to live well.
Yeah.
I want to live well and do 20 pull-ups with no problem.
Yes, right? So, and the thing is that, like, when you're playing with your grandkids, right, they will kind of feel almost like they stay the same in that way of they're going to have so much energy all the time,
Right.
and their bodies are so ridiculously resilient to being able to do whatever they need to do.
Right.
And I think as people get older, they think I'm falling apart, and that's not true.
I said that to you the other day.
Mm-hmm.
I'm trying to raise my 5-year-old granddaughter, and I felt like all my joints was like seriously stiff.
Yes.
And I was like, why?
Well, one, the recovery is very important, right? Like tissue needs good blood flow, and if you're overloading tissue and it's not allowing to recover, you go to use it the next time it's not available, right? But instead of thinking about your body falling apart, thinking about it as making sure that whatever you have right now is optimized.
Okay.
So this is a really interesting story. It's a story I read. It's a true story in this book called The New Executive Brain. And it completely changed my thought on aging and cognition in general. There were these nuns. I believe they were in Wisconsin, right? And they had a devotion towards education. And they constantly kept learning and teaching all of the time. And I don't know the specifics on these things. I believe the woman died at 90-something years old. And she was teaching an advanced level mathematics to a college or a high school, right? Till the day she died, pretty much. And this is the crazy part of the story. They dissected her brain as like she donated her body to science. And when they went into her brain, they found that she had had Alzheimer's for like over a dozen years, like evidence of that being the case.
Mild, severe,
like severe Alzheimer's. Like they said that they showed 2 pictures of a normal brain and then her brain, and this woman was brilliant. And they were like, they asked the people, she showed no signs of cognitive decline at all.
Right.
I think she died of like regular old age type things, right? And what they kind of concluded is that as your body ages and it starts to, it's not repairing as fast, all these different things, is you don't have to lose function. Right?
Even your brain?
Even your brain. Because what happens is that, let's say that when you try to work out a math problem, right? Let's say that you use a bunch of inefficient pathways to get there, but when you're young, you got tons and tons of them, right? And you just figure out the problem. As you get older, it gets a little harder, but you just have to make it more efficient. And then you might think that nun was rerouting all of her, as she lost brain matter, it was becoming as optimal as possible by constantly challenging herself to keep it as optimal as possible.
So was that it? She was constantly challenging herself.
That's it.
Wow. Okay.
Doesn't that change the way you think?
Yes,
I mean, that gave me so much peace
don't
about.
retire? No.
Don't retire. Yeah.
I won't retire forever.
Well, the thing is, don't retire from life.
Yeah.
You know, like there's one thing from retiring if you've worked a hard job your whole life, but go on your next adventure.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I like that.
That I think that's and it goes. I mean, there's a spiritual aspect of that whole idea there, but I think there's also a very clear physical one of people that don't, they wither away.
Yeah. And mental. My mother had dementia in her older age, 89, 90. But yeah, I'm afraid of that.
You know what? And the thing is that it's difficult to manage once you are there. It seems as if all of the evidence right now is showing that preventative measures is the best way to combat that. And you're doing it right now by constantly staying active. But I came here today, and what were you doing? You were watching osteoclast and osteoblast activity in the bones, right? Like, that's fantastic that you're still learning.
Yeah, and that's because I'm on medication and I'm trying to get off.
Sure.
So I'm trying to learn.
Well, I always think that information is easiest to remember when there is a necessity to remember it.
A need. Yes.
There's a need. And then,
motivation.
yeah, if I started telling you about like some kind of like random like problem that you don't know anyone that has it, that you never even heard of this part, you're not going to remember it.
Right.
It's there's nothing to hold it on to your.
Well, I'm going to keep fighting.
Yeah, right. No, that's really,
yeah.
Of course, yeah.
Thank you so much. I love Dr. Eric. Everybody go to him. He's the best. Miracle worker.
Well, that's why I want to do these podcasts, because I see a lot of people that aren't living their life.
Right.
And it just hurts me to know that I know what they could do if they just took on some, and I'm not even going to tell them what to do. It's more of I want to just shift the way of thinking about things.
Yeah.
When people stop thinking about fixing their gait as something that they have to like force into position, right? And just to let things just naturally flow that way, that's when you see that it's not one thing.
Yeah.
It's everything all of a sudden changes. And they now have the tools to bring their life back, right? And that's what I'm looking for.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah.
I think I found. I'm just glad I'm not in pain anymore.
Yeah.
And I could keep going.
Yeah.
It's so much better keeping going without the pain.
Yeah.
Oh, so much better.
So now I have one question that I want to maybe end on here.
Okay.
So maybe it might be a long conversation.
Oh boy.
What do you think was the biggest shift that you had from our treatments as far as the way you think about exercise or the way you think about movement?
Well, education. All the information I got from you, and you did not mind answering all my questions.
Yeah.
On my lats, stretching it before I work out. On my chest, dynamically stretching it before I work out. Just knowing that I had dysfunctions in my neck that you just, I don't know what you did, but you just fixed. And also what Dr. Eric does, before the end of the session, he will videotape what he was teaching me. So I have something to look at and go back on. So in other words, he's not saying, you got to keep on coming back in order for me to help you. He's giving me the videotape, and that was everything. Because I'm also sharing it with my friends and,
Yeah, good.
Clients.
Because you know what? I think a lot of practitioners, therapists, right? They try to hoard, I guess is a good word, but they try to create something, and then they like, I don't feel like any of this is my information.
Right.
This is just reality.
Right.
Like, and it belongs to just reality. And there is a freedom of sharing information that I want to see the world start to go towards.
That's wonderful. I
love to give the information away. So you'd say that,
write a book.
You even say your friend that was in Texas, right?
Yes.
Send her those videos, because then we can keep spreading that. And if she could move her lumbar spine intersegmentally,
I got to get a video on that.
We'll get a video on that, absolutely, right? Yeah, no, early on I didn't think about making videos for people.
It's the best, because you get home and you're like, okay, what did he do again? It's the best, because especially the shoulder thing you do for me, I always have to look. Yeah. Because this goes up, this goes by itself, this goes back down.
Right.
You have to do it in sequence.
I think some of my patients actually didn't like that I started doing videos, because my exercises were a lot more simple before the videos, because they had an excuse. Oh, this got too complicated. I couldn't do it. I'm like, oh, I understand. But then I'm like, let me be very particular in this video, exactly what we need to do.
And you are particular, which is perfect. I haven't tried the Turkish get-up yet.
Yeah.
So I have to do with the video.
Oh, you'll get it.
Yeah. I can't wait.
One of my favorites there. But yeah, so I mean, like they can be particular, and I think the more particular people focus on their joints and in their movements, and realize that like there's so much work to be done.
Yeah.
I look at my body and go like, people like people have told me, and it seems ridiculous to me that they go, oh, you must not have a single problem in your body. You must move perfectly fine. And it's like, no, I've gotten some bad injuries in my life. You know, I don't always like move. I like to play guitar and sit around for 3 hours, and I'll be stiff as anything.
Exactly.
But
I get it.
I see my joints and any type of tension as a curiosity. I have to become. I think that's what people really need, is that they need to become curious about their tension as to why it's there and what got it out. Right? Is that like sometimes you might see that like, oh, it feels better, but it's not fixed. Is that when you realize that your joints just want some attention, they want you to be curious about them, and when you are, they all of a sudden start loosening up, and you have the freedom right back there again.
I love it.
Yeah.
Great. Wish I lived closer.
Yeah.
I told him I just want to be his friend so I could get all this information.
That's why you're here today, right?
Okay.
All right, Cecile. Thank you so much for coming on the podcast.
No problem.
All right.
Thank you.
All right.